Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a pretty cool guest today. So Bryce Henson, he's been in the fitness space for a long time. He's the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, right? And they've got over 300 locations, man. Dude, I'm excited for this conversation. 300 locations. How long did it take for you to get there?
What's up, Shaheen, my brother? Shoot, man, this has been a labor of love. We franchised our system in 2012, so
wow,
it's about
so
12
not
years
as long as I would have thought.
Appreciate that.
Very cool, man. Very cool. So, for those out there that don't know you, explain a little bit about what you guys do and what your business focuses on.
Yeah, appreciate that. So Fit Body Bootcamp, we're the fastest growing indoor fitness franchise on the planet. We have just south of 300 locations in North America. About 90% are in the States, about 10% in Canada. And we specialize in group training. So instead of hiring a personal trainer for one-on-one, which gets great results but can be cost prohibitive, we do that in a group format. So that way it becomes way more affordable for our clients to get access to personal training. But then we do it in a group so we can give twice the workout, twice the energy, and twice the result in half the time. So that's a little bit of our modality. And bringing it back, our marketing message, if you will, why clients come to us is we're known as the place where our clients lose the weight for the last time.
Wow. Very cool, man. Very cool. So, I've seen boot camps before. Actually, a good buddy of mine, the guy who used to train me, that's what he focuses on now is doing boot camp. So what made you get into this? Like, what's your background? I'm assuming your background was in fitness and you just decided there's a better way to do it, or how did it come about?
Yeah, not at all. Interestingly enough, I'm not the founder of the business. I'm the CEO. The founder is my business partner. He started it as a licensee program back in 2008, 2009. And then when it started to catch hold in 2012, he franchised it. I was actually one of his first franchise partners who joined the brand back in 2012. So for the first 5 years of my involvement within the Fit Body brand, I was a franchise partner here in Southern California, scaled to 5 locations, brought my family on board. But to your point, that wasn't my original background. In fact, the running joke is the CEO of this international fitness brand used to be allergic to lifting weights, and fast food is a staple of my diet because, growing up in the Midwest, great place, amazing salt of the earth people, not the fitness capital of the world. So I didn't really get exposed to a healthy and fit lifestyle until I moved to Southern California in 2005, 2006, hired a personal trainer, incredible results, changed my life. And that's what really opened my eyes to the concept of personal training coaching. And then eventually led me to start my own location, which I just kind of gave you a little bit of backstory.
Right. Very cool. So these boot camps, are we talking like 50 people, or is it generally a smaller setting, like 10, 20 people?
So typically our locations usually have anywhere from 300 to 400 clients, but per session is anywhere from 15 to 30 people per session. So it ranges depending on the session time. And we usually do about 4 sessions in the morning and then 4 sessions in the evening. Before and after work is typically our clientele.
Right. And now, so these franchises is it like a specific building, like it's a Fit Body Bootcamp building, or are you doing it at like certain gyms or in a parking lot somewhere? Like, explain to me, like, where are people going to do these boot camps?
You got a good business mind. So now we have our proper retail space, but back in 2008, 2009, when my business partner launched the brand, we were actually doing it in parks, in beaches, things of that nature, which worked. We got some traction, but what we realized is then we have the elements and all that. So our next move, we ended up recommending our franchise partners to sublease from cheerleading studios, because cheerleading studios, they were open in the morning, but they just had in the evening. So then we moved our concept from outdoors into cheerleading studios. We had morning space, but then when our brand started to grow and the traction started to happen, what we realized is we need space for both morning and evening. So then we shifted gears to the brand. And some franchise partners have their own whole buildings, but typically we rent space within a big retail complex. But that way we can bring the fitness concept indoors, and that way, in terms of elements and all that, we have a clean training space.
Yeah, absolutely. So on average, you said you're getting about 300 to 400 clients per location.
Yep.
The classes are doing 15 to 30 people on average.
Yep.
So you don't need a massive space, right? I mean, you could generally, as the size of like a small retail store, essentially, right?
That's it. Typically speaking, our retail shops are about 3,000 square feet. So in the grand scheme of things, it's a very efficient business model, both from a business model, but also to the training modality for our clients. we offer 30-minute sessions. So it's a very intense way to train. And
Right.
don't let that fool you. 30 minutes, you crank it
Well,
hard.
yeah, I mean, I've done
dying.
a 10-minute workout before where my arms feel like they're going to fall off,
Totally. So same concept here. So we apply that efficiency to our clients, and we also apply that efficiency in terms of the business model. So to your point, no, we don't need 10, 20, 30,000 square feet locations. We need about 3,000 square feet. And the nice thing about our business model is reoccurring revenue. So there's a lot of stability in forecasting and recession proof. At the end of the day, people need fitness, whether the economy's good or bad.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, definitely. So now your ideal, well, it sounds like your ideal, I guess the people that are doing these boot camps are people that don't have a ton of time, maybe don't have a ton of money to, or want to hire a personal trainer, would rather get in shape in a group setting, save a little bit of money, save some time so they're not at the gym for an hour or 2 hours, every night, and they can get back to their family and what they enjoy doing. Now, as far as the business model, sounds like the same thing, right? Because you're only doing, you said how many sessions a day?
We do 8 sessions a day, 4 in the morning,
Okay,
4
so
in the
4
evening.
in the morning, 4 in the evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, to your point about the fitness clientele, I mean, that's exactly who we market to. Our avatar, we call her Mrs. Jones. She's in her 40s. She's not a fitness athlete. She's not trying to shave off a second to make the NFL combine.
Right.
In fact, the opposite. She either hasn't worked out ever or since high school. She doesn't love working out, but she knows that she needs to find a community, find support, find guidance. She doesn't have a ton of time. She's, working and taking care of her family, but she can pop in for a half an hour session and really, change your life. So that's from the fitness client perspective. The franchise partners that we typically attract aren't necessarily foundationally fitness people. We do have some, but they're more, I guess, successful people and executives, if you will, not necessarily even executives, but just people in, middle-level management that haven't had entrepreneurial or business experience before, but they've, been successful for traditional standards, but, they wake up in their 40s and they're like, hey, listen, I have the house, the 2 cars and all that, but I'm not fulfilled. And typically speaking, they have some sort of touch with fitness which changed their life, even though that's not professionally, who they are. And they stumble upon this particular opportunity of Fit Body Bootcamp, that fitness is our product and service. Sustainable weight loss is really the message in the product that we offer the brand or our communities. And then we can create a business model with support and structure and really allow this new franchise partners to go in business for themselves, but not by themselves, and really live the American dream. So that's typically who we attract from a franchise partner perspective to expand locations, expand our brand.
Right. Now, so these boot camps, is it geared a lot towards, like culture? So they're keeping each other accountable. A lot of the times it's the same people attending the same class at the same time. So, okay.
That's
so that's better than just having a personal trainer, right? Because instead of just having one person that's keeping you accountable, you've got maybe 4 or 5 people in a text group. You're like, hey man, you going tonight? Like, let's go. We got shit to do.
Totally, man. That's it. We always say clients, they come in for the result, but they stay for the results and the relationships, because it's that group accountability. So it becomes like a community as well, which is a huge, long-term sustainable approach. Not only for the client, but also too for the business owner, because retention, as we know in business, is the name of the game.
Absolutely. It's everything. Absolutely. So what does this cost? I'm trying to get in shape. I want to join a Fit Body Bootcamp. 300 locations. I mean, you got to be in every state, or most states.
Close. We're not in every state yet, but we're working on. That's my job here.
Right.
But typically, our memberships they range anywhere from $30 to $50 a week, depending whether you're going to get the coaching or the nutrition or just the workout. So that's typically
okay. So you could get nutrition, a nutrition plan, meal plan, something like that, along with being able to obviously go to the boot camps.
Yeah, we have a nutrition coaching protocol called Bootcamp Plus, and it's for an extra $20 a week, but that provides unlimited or access to a Fit Body nutrition coach, also an app and a weekly meal plan. And we know in fitness that ultimately your results are derived from your nutrition. That's where the most body composition.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working out all the time and you're eating garbage, it ain't gonna do too much changing.
Totally. Not when maybe when you're 15, 20 years old, but when you're 40, 45, like most of our clients are, you got to dial in your nutrition. So that's a huge, huge advantage to our clients. And also too, it's a big need in the market, because a lot of gyms, definitely franchise systems, even in the working out space, they don't offer nutrition, which is only offering a very small part of the solution.
Right. Absolutely, man. So I'm looking to get into this industry. What are my next steps? Like, am I calling you? We're writing up a contract and then looking for space. Like, how easy is it to get into this business model? I mean, we know residual income is everything, right?
Yeah,
like, if you got something that's guaranteed coming in every month, is it a 1-year contract? Do you guys do less, more?
No, we actually only do a 12-week agreement on the front because
Okay.
at the end of the day, we're not looking to, grip our clients into a long-term contract.
Right.
We need 12 weeks in the front end
Yeah, to really
show you that it works.
Yeah.
But really, we are going to compete on our product and our service and just the value that we add, and that's how we
Right.
keep our members long-term. So that's typically how that process works. Now, in terms of our franchise partners, when they're exploring the opportunity, it's an investment, right? Typically, it's about $250,000, which in the grand scheme of things, to open a brick and mortar is a very, very attractive, type of opportunity. But we ask for a 7-year agreement. And when you're launching a business, I mean, this is not a decision that we recommend anyone make a shotgun decision overnight. We want to make sure that, the person does their proper diligence and research. So it's usually about a 3 or 4 month vetting process through an application. So it first starts with an EOI or expression of interest. From there, you'll talk to our franchise advising team. And that process is anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We're providing you all the information that the prospective prospect needs and vice versa. We're also making sure it's a good fit for both of us. And then typically after speaking or the vetting process for 3 to 4 months, if we provide the approval with the requirement for funding, then you purchase your territory. Once you have your territory reserved, then it's a full court press. Our goal for our onboarding team is to get your doors open within 6 months. And at that point, you need to find the real estate, you need to get your website, and then our onboarding team helps you from the time that your territory is awarded all the way until you get your doors open.
Okay. And so now the $250,000, that is upfront, one time. Now you mentioned like the real estate and the website. Is all that stuff kind of provided within that, or is the $250K just the franchise cost and everything else is obviously on top of it?
It's the former, actually. So our franchise territory fee is $55,000, we'll call it. But when I say about $250,000, that's total. So that's including your territory, your coaching, your build out, your working capital, really your grand opening, marketing, all the things that you're going to need to know in order to get your doors open. And then really, actually, that also includes working capital for your first 3 months, because we do, guarantee that our new franchise partners open the doors with 100 trials coming through the door from day one. So we fill your boot camp with trials from the very beginning, but there's still a time to convert them and bring more clients in until you're profitable.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. So now that $250K, I'm assuming that's dependent on the location, right? Like if you're in Beverly Hills versus Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the real estate is going to be a bit different.
So we usually do a range. Actually, at the low end, it's about 200,000. At the high end, it's about 400,000. I just say, roughly speaking, it's about 250.
So like your average place in the country. I mean,
Because to your point, you're right. Beverly Hills is going to be about 400,000. Lancaster, Pennsylvania is about 200,000.
Yeah. Okay. So dude, that's not bad at all. So, and that's, you said 7 years?
Our agreements. Yep.
Yeah. So now from there, like why would, I guess my biggest question is you're coming in and you have 100 trials, right? So let's say you convert, what's the average number? 30% into clients?
Spot on.
So you got 30 clients pretty much right out the gate. Then from there, especially after they're seeing results, they're referring people. I mean, it's just a natural thing that happens.
Oh, yeah. We have a whole marketing engine in the front end, and we guarantee at least 100 trials. I mean, we'll have some, we actually had an owner that opened in Atlanta, Georgia area, 450 trials from day one. Wow. So, that's an overwhelming amount of trials for sure, but it's a good problem to have. It's a first world problem. But to your point, that's the initial grand opening campaign.
Right.
And then from there, we have referral campaigns, and we have a 12-month, marketing calendar to get the doors open. So that way, literally within the first 12 months of business, I mean, your business should be firing at all cylinders. You've gone through a year of the cycle, and you're off to the races.
Right. So let's get back to the numbers now. This is pretty intriguing. $35 a week on average?
I would say $40 a week is the average rate boot camp.
Right.
We start at 35 as charter members for when you get their doors open, and then $60 a week is for those people that are on the nutrition coaching program.
Right. So we say what on average?
But I would say put $40 in
Right.
average.
And now you're talking 300 clients. That's 12 grand a month. I mean, those numbers are pretty good, and those are conservative, right? So like you're not.
Well, no, so what you did is you did.
Oh, that's 40, a week. Yeah, that's a week.
That's
so
a week.
Yeah, so it's 40, really 50 grand a month.
Correct. That's our target here.
Wow.
That's our target.
Interesting. So now expanding from these, like, is there an opportunity to have multiple, I guess it wouldn't make sense to have multiple of these locations within a similar area, or do you have places that have 5 or 6 locations in a geographical area?
Well, we have protected territories,
okay.
Right? So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that when we put a location, right, there's enough client. We have territory maps in from a demographic perspective to make sure that that location has enough clientele to be able to support that. But then our job as the franchise is to grow the brand with as many locations as possible, with the caveat that's not going to cannibalize our current location. So that's the balance that we play.
Right.
But we do have, owners like myself, as an example, when I first started in the brand as a franchise partner before I joined the headquarters team, I scaled to 5 locations in Southern California. So I had a couple locations that sometimes clients would go to one because they work closer to one, or vice versa.
Oh, right.
But ultimately, our vision is to build out territory so that way they can hold a sufficient amount of clients, and our franchise partners are successful.
Wow. So if you don't mind me asking, with 5 locations, what were you taking home on average a year?
Oh, shoot. This is back in 2007. Since
2007. So this is.
Oh, sorry, no, 17.
17.
When I sold
okay.
my business. Forget. I mean, I was probably doing about $150,000
right.
a month at that period of time between my 5 locations. So that's not one
Right.
location. That's
right.
Doing
but
sales.
Still,
daily,
I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty good. I mean, you're talking 200, 250. I mean, depending on the area. I mean, that's a pretty good opportunity. I mean, you want to build out a gym. What's it going to cost you to open a gym?
Oh, like a proper brick and mortar with all the equipment and all that? Oh, it's probably 5 times the multiple. Because you got to think too. One of the things, you're a smart business mind. One of the first observations you made was floor space. If you can believe, the two biggest, I guess, expense for gym owners are typically floor space and the equipment. Well, for floor space, we have like 20% of the standard floor place in a gym. So the cost there is, way more efficient. And then equipment, we have functional equipment. So compared to like, the big rigs or the treadmills and all that, which are expensive and traditional gym concepts, also they break and they require maintenance. So from the space and also the equipment perspective, that's where we get a lot of our savings.
Right. Now, as far as like equipment goes, so you have like dumbbells, ropes, like what different equipment are you guys using versus like a standard gym? Like, do you have bikes and treadmills and stuff like that, or?
No bikes, no treadmills. A lot of the cardio we have like ski ergs, and we have TRX, functional equipment. We have the kettlebells, we have the dumbbells, things of that nature as well. We have battling ropes. So, it's a very much a functional fitness element versus the big cardio machinery and things of that nature, which are big, bulky, and, cost
absolutely. And honestly, I feel like a lot of those a lot of the equipment that's out there is not really, you're not getting as much out of it versus using some of the, I remember I had my trainer had me do some stuff with a rope and then something with like 3-pound dumbbells. And it was the hardest workout I'd ever done in my life. And it was just crazy to me. Like, and the bands, like just very simple things that people don't think about. They're like, oh, I got to go to the gym and, I've got to have these huge weights and these huge machines. And, it's amazing to think that you can open up a place with just, realistically, I could probably fit 30 people in this room I'm in right now. And and get a good workout in. It's pretty incredible.
And if you dial it in from an efficiency
Yeah.
perspective and you have a good floor circuit, I mean, there's definitely some, knowledge in planning put
Right.
into that. But to your point, you can do it really efficiently. And interestingly enough, Shaheen, that you mentioned that about you can get a killer workout, a fraction of the cost or a fraction of the time and also a fraction of the equipment. Typically speaking, what happens is we have about 80% of our gym clients are females, about 20% are males. Now, typically we don't market to males because guys are a little bit more hard-headed. Girls are open to coaching and all that. So I've heard this story for literally 12 years. The female, the wife, she sees an ad. She's like, oh, I'm going to check this out. She joins the program. It's called Fit Body Bootcamp. So she joins it, just 30 minutes. And then her husband on the back end's like, oh, that Fit Body Booty Camp thing, doing what you're doing. Then 3 months comes by and all of a sudden he's like, babe, you're looking good. Wait, you only do 30 minutes a day? That sounds amazing. Oh, I got this. So it comes in for the trial. And in the first week, the guy just gets crushed. It was like, holy shit, like a little taste of humble pie. Yeah. So to your 100%. Point, that's exactly how it typically works.
I'll never forget the first day I would watch my wife every morning. And I've only been married for 4 months. So it's, it hadn't been long, but congrats. When she first moved in, she's doing these, YouTube, like 10-minute YouTube workouts. And I'm like, ain't nothing. And so she asked me to do it one morning, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's insane what you can get done. In 10 minutes, especially, in 30 minutes, it's, totally. It really does work. So your business model, the pricing of the franchise, it makes perfect sense. What about personnel? Like, is this the type of business where the owner really needs to be I would imagine, unless they're a coach themselves, like, what is there for the owner to really do other than accounting and managing the marketing and, the day-to-day being at the physical location all the time? Is it really necessary for the owner themselves, or is it?
I would say to lead, to market, and sell, those are the three main focus of the business owner. But to your point, you're right. In one way, the hours are very conducive. The other side of the coin, though, we're a relationship business and we're a very culture business. So what I've learned in this business, no one cares as much about the business as the owner themselves. So the owner doesn't have to be there 7 days a week, as an example, but typically 4 blocks, like high traffic sessions where a lot of clients are there, just to be able to connect with the clients, connect with their team, build that culture, because it's a relationship business. It's a community business. So I think the biggest value from the owner presence is they can pour into the culture versus like a tactical application, because their main focus is leading the team, managing the marketing and sales.
Absolutely. So realistically, it could be done as another business or a side business on top of whatever they're currently doing, right? Because they're 30-minute sessions. Let's say you're there for 4 sessions a day. That's 2 hours. So let's add on a couple more hours. 4 hours a day, realistically, you could effectively run the business. Yes or no?
I would say yes, and owners do it. But here's the thing. So most owners to start, they launch the business while they have their other kind of like side gig, just to get the business off the ground, get the revenues going. But what I know to be true is it's because it's a cultural based business. So typically speaking, this is my story as well. When I first launched my first location in 2012, I kept my side job for the first 18 months. I was doing sales just so I could, because I invested my life savings in the business, so that way I could reinvest every dollar back in the business. And the business grew. I think I was, in terms of what I was making in terms of monthly, I think about 25, 30 grand a month at that particular time as an owner. But then what happened is about 18 months in, I removed my other job and went all in the business. And then the business started to grow because my presence, the culture and all that, I doubled sales within the first 6 months.
You can do it a few hours a day, but you're always going to make way more. You're going to be way more successful if you're all in, for sure. Yeah, that's any business.
That's any business, anything in life.
Yeah, very cool, man. So there's, how does this? So we talked about how it relates to gyms. How does your opportunity for Fit Body Bootcamp franchises versus something else with a similar style. Like I've seen some smaller. There's one call in Maryland called SWAT, right? And they have small, rooms with simple equipment. How does your franchise opportunity compare to others within the same space?
I would say the biggest value, not only the sales, the marketing, all that training, I would say it's actually the people development training.
Mm.
So, yeah, we have a great system, we have a great modality, but to your point, there's a lot of other great training systems and
Right.
modality. One of the things that I've learned for sure, we are in the people business first and foremost. And the average personal trainer who joins the fitness industry literally stays in the industry less than 6 months. That is like a crazy stat. And what we've poured in so much time, energy, and focus at Fit Body Bootcamp is the development of our coaches, or excuse me, our owners, and also the development of our coaches and our head coaches. So we have an
Nice.
unlimited amount of support on a monthly basis. We do virtual trainings for our coaches. We do 2 big, like giant in-person trainings with over 500 people there. So what I've learned, what
Right.
we've learned to be true, and when you develop your
Yeah.
people, when you educate, when I say your people, I mean your coaches, because in our
100%.
business, our coaches are a product.
Yeah.
Kind of like if you're running a steak business, a steak restaurant, your steak's your product. Well, for us, our coaches are a product.
Absolutely.
So the more development, the training, education, support you can develop in your
Stay,
coach,
yeah.
the longer they stay, the longer your coaches stay, the longer your clients stay. So I think from a
Right.
franchise opportunity, their mom and pop businesses just cannot compete with the amount of like support
Yeah.
that we provide our coaches. And I think that's probably me
Yeah.
looking at
No,
this
that
business
makes
12
perfect
years
sense.
in. It's the reason for our success, which will just only continue.
So you said you're going to have on average about 4 coaches.
I would say every studio is usually about 3 to 5 teammates, and most of them are coaches.
Okay, right. Now, besides the coaches, you've obviously got somebody that's running the sales and marketing.
Yep.
Is now for me, for example, like sales is that's my passion. That's what I'm good at. So is it oftentimes that the owner is going to pick something within the business that's their strong suit and that's what they focus on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, what I find in the business is there's 6 buckets of accountability. We have the marketing bucket, which
Right.
typically speaking, the owner holds on to. The owner also holds on to the sales bucket as well. With time, you can develop a coach to be able to be a strong salesperson, but the marketing and sales typically are held by the owner in addition to the HR and the finance. So those are like the 6 buckets. And again, the nice part, it's a very profitable business, but it's not an overly complex business as well. It's not like you're having to do HR and finance for a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
You just have some focus on it. But the 2 buckets that typically our owners they hire out for are the administration bucket and the coaching bucket. So you typically need, anywhere from 3 to 5 coaches on your team. And an owner can coach, and it's a good idea to build relationships, but it's not a good idea long-term to be a coach, because really at the end of the day, it's, leading and managing and selling your business. You're going to have, way more output on that. So typically speaking, the owner holds on to the sales, the marketing, the finance, and the HR, and they hire out the administration and the coaching of the business.
Right. Now, so with the initial startup, you said it was about a 3 or 4 month process, right? To get your doors open generally?
It's about a 3 or 4 month vetting process in the front end just to make sure it's a good fit. Once the territory is awarded, it's typically about a 6-month time frame from the time that you have awarded your territory before you get your doors open. Ideally, you get your lease signed within 3 to 4 months.
I gotcha.
That's probably the biggest aspect in the onboarding process.
Right. So you're looking at a little under a year.
It's about a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let's say this sounds really interesting to somebody. Fitness is my passion. I want to jump in. I've only got 40 grand. Do you guys have funding partners that you guys work with to help them get financing for, to be able to run a franchise? Or do you guys prefer that they have the cash up front? Those people are more serious. Is that
We'll take both. Of course, if you have cash in hand, even better. But the vast majority, 90%, don't have the full, investment up front. So funding partners is typically what we work with, and they still have to have good credit and all the things. But ultimately, like I said, 90% need credit need funding, and we provide them with the solutions.
Cool. Cool. Well, we should definitely talk about that offline. We've got a new consumer finance arm. We've always just been business to business, and we didn't have a bunch of options for startups, so we got into now the consumer financing because, as you know, unless you own a business, you can't get business funding, right? So if you're getting startup capital, it's heavily weighted on personal finances, credit, income, things like that. So, very cool.
That.
So that's good to know. You guys helped them get the financing. There's options. Now, as far as, we talked about territories. Do you guys have locations in Maryland?
We did during COVID. Unfortunately, we had 2 locations that closed down. So we are looking to attack the map of Maryland.
Yeah, COVID was tough. How many locations did you guys lose during COVID? It had to have been a huge hit.
Yeah, we contracted. We had many dozens, unfortunately, and depending on where they were like different states, like the Marylands and the New Yorks and the Jerseys of the world. Unfortunately, had way different protocols than the Texases and the Floridas of the world.
Yeah.
So as you would imagine, our location closure and attrition was harder hit depending on what state you lived in.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. It was, it was tough. I mean, we were in business lending, so it was same for us. As soon as businesses started closing, they're like, nope, no more funding. I ended up getting into the medical supply space. We wouldn't have survived. We would not still be here if we hadn't.
Had to pivot,
Yeah. It's just the name of the game. Now, we were talking about the marketing. So, do you guys have everything built out as far as the marketing, like the pictures, the videos, the social media ads? Is all that stuff already built out as far as the marketing process, or is that, do they have kind of some wiggle room to be able to do their own thing?
Well, local marketing is really important, right? We're in the personal space, so we definitely encourage, all of our franchise partners to be able to collect and capture local content because that helps the local engine. But from a big picture marketing perspective, absolutely. We definitely provide support. On the front end, we have our grand opening campaign, which we call our launch campaign, which is designed, at the very least, we guarantee that our franchise partners will get 100 paid trials through their door, and many times, as I indicated earlier, even more. So that's a 12-week campaign.
Oh, so those are paid trials.
Those are paid trials, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're typically joining what's called a 4 for 40, so 4 weeks for $40.
Oh, nice.
And at the end of the day, the $40 isn't going to break the bank, but what it does is it covers the ad cost and then allows the engine to run. Absolutely. And that's the first campaign, but then we have monthly campaigns that we push out because, our franchise partners, they really appreciate and they like the support that we can provide them.
Right. Now, as far as expansion, some people are like, well, that one location, sounds good. At what point, is it when you kind of outgrow your current location, you start growing into, multiple locations, or can you start with 2 or 3 off the bat?
If you're well funded, we do have an opportunity where you can buy 3 territories and get a discount off that. But typically speaking, those type of opportunities are for someone that has investment cash in hand.
Of course.
We like to start off vast majority of our franchise partners with one location because it's a culture business, just to make sure.
Well, it's smart to get the hang of things, to really understand the culture and what works, what doesn't work, how it all goes. Absolutely. I'm just thinking for some people, it may be like, okay, well, I'm in Maryland. I got a house down in Ocean City. I got one in Baltimore. This would kill it in both. Let's go. I'm ready to rock and roll with 2 right out the gate.
And for the right investor, we'll have that conversation. So it just depends. But to your point, typically, like we have 5 levels of ownership, and it's based off profitability. So every new owner, they're in level 1, right? And then they have to graduate to level 2, which is $20,000 a month, and through level 3. So at the very least, in order to put in an application for additional location, you have to be a level 3 owner. And then by that time, when they get the doors open, they're typically a level 4 or 5 owner because they put in their application and their business is still growing by the time they get their 2nd or 3rd off the ground.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. So now the business and everything is largely based on people, right? You've got the coaches are probably the most important because that's why people are showing up, why they keep coming back, and how the business really runs. So as far as leadership training, do you guys offer any, not everybody's a great leader, right? Some people might be great at business, but when it comes to leading people, they may not be the greatest. So what support and guidance do you guys offer as far as leadership goes?
100%. Leadership is always the problem, my friend, is always the solution. And you're right. I mean, we are in the people business first and foremost. It just so happens that our product is fitness, but at the core level, we are an organization of leaders developing leaders. So going back in the development training, I mean, it's coaching development training, but it's also leadership development training for the ownership. So I would say the secret sauce, if you're listening to this right now and you want to open a business, any business that is, but especially a fitness business, and you're thinking, oh, can I do this on your own? You potentially could, but why you would want to link up with an organization like ours is the vast majority of training content we provide. Yeah, we provide the finance training, we provide the marketing support and all that, but it's a leadership and coaching development training, because those two skill sets, because we're in the people business, are the skill sets that define the most successful versus the least successful ownership.
Right. I mean, you have a proven concept. At the end of the day, what did you say the franchise fee was? $55K?
Yep.
So, I mean, even if you take that divided by a 12-month period, you're talking $4,500 a month to plug into a proven business that works, that's going to guarantee, 100, what did you call them? Pre-trial?
Paid trials.
Paid trials. I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer. I mean, if you've got the credit or the cash and you're passionate about fitness, I personally believe you should not get into any business unless you are absolutely passionate about it.
Amen.
I don't care how much money it makes, right?
Amen.
Like, if it makes $200 million a month right out the gate and you're not passionate about it, you're not going to hit that point anyway.
Amen. We always say we look for three things: passion about people and fitness, but more so people, because fitness is our product, but you got to be passionate about people. 100%. The second thing, you have to have a growth mindset, because leaders are learners. Yep. And the third is you got to be coachable. The clients who get the best results are the ones who are most coachable. The franchise partners and owners who get the best results are the ones who are most coachable, for sure.
Absolutely. It's funny. So those three things are what I look for when I'm hiring sales reps, right? We're in business to business, completely different business. But you got to care about people. You got to be passionate about it. It's at the end of the day, business is business. But I think, being passionate about helping people reach their goals, whether, their fitness goals, their nutrition goals, is definitely something important. Yeah, 100%. So, a lot of our guests will have some sort of a gift. What do you have for our listeners and our viewers today?
Yeah, absolutely. I love people. I love building teams. I'm a leadership expert, so I have a free leadership course I want to offer your audience. Go to my website, brycehenson.com/leadership. That's brycehenson.com/leadership. Take your opt-in for your free leadership course, and I really appreciate that, Shaheen.
Awesome. So brycehenson.com/leadership. I'm going to go ahead and get that now. I've read a lot of leadership books, taken a lot of training, but you can never have enough training when it comes to leadership. Like,
amen.
I don't care. I mean, even the best leaders out there, they're only good because they're constantly trying to be a better leader, right?
Yes,
like, if there's one thing that people can master, is how to get people to follow them. And how do you get people to follow you? Is by being a great leader, right? Like, that's one skill that I think is more valuable than absolutely anything. They say, if you can sell anything, then, you'll be fine. But I think if you can, besides selling, I think leadership is probably the most important.
I think leadership and sales, they're so intertwined. Typically, sales is exchanging energy and getting people to move on a product or service. And leadership is doing the same thing, but with people. So they're very much intertwined.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Bryce. Excited to see what's your guys' goal to be at within the next 12 months? You're at 300 now. How many locations you guys going to be at in 12 months?
400 is the goal.
Love it. Well, I'm sure you're going to hit it. You sound like you know what you're doing. You've obviously started from the bottom within the business, which is probably what has made you guys so successful. I'm a firm believer in that. You gotta be down on the bottom before you can really understand how it works at the top. So,
brother, it was a great time.
Thanks, brother.